So 2X's is 100, and the food bank gives away around 100 boxes of food every Saturday.
Welcome to the Exploring Washington State podcast. Here's your host, Scott Cowan.
All right. So I am sitting here today in Tieton, Washington at the boxx Gallery. My guest is Michelle. And Michelle's going to tell us a little bit about how the boxx Gallery got started. And so I'm going to be quiet and let her talk. So Michelle, tell us the boxx Gallery. How did it get started?
Well, years ago, as part of the whole movement that's happened in Tieton, we bought this building with Ed and Mike, who now have gone on to buy other buildings in town. And then when our church closed about 8 years ago, we moved the food bank to the backside of this building, and it has been there ever since. And then 6 years ago, a couple that lived part-time in Tieton, Carrie and Karen Quint, approached me and asked me what I would think about opening an art gallery that would benefit the food bank. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I had no better idea. Before that, it was a thrift shop, and, it's been a few things, mostly just empty. And so Carrie did the design work, and the volunteers all pitched in and put in a ceiling, polished the floor. I used to have a clothing store. We brought the cash wrap desk from my store, and these are props against the wall from our orchard, or our son's orchard, I think. And so it's just kind of grown organically, and we had no expectation, which works out really well with something like this. We've been so surprised and pleased that the gallery has grown and become an actual thing in the valley, and it's done well. So we take of our commission, we pay our expenses, and then we have helped to help financially with the food bank for the 6 years that it's been open.
So it's great that you're donating in helping the food bank, but to me, odd in a good way.
It is.
It's an odd relationship. So why do you think? So why did they come up with the art gallery? Because you could have been a thrift shop. It could have been an espresso stand. So many other things it could be. Was the art community growing here at that time? What do you think was their inspiration?
Well, for me, I never cared what it was. It could be a feed store as long as it gave some money to the food bank. But Karen is the former director of Foster White Gallery downtown Seattle. So she had that background. And a lot of people that have moved to Tieton are artists and have art backgrounds. And so to her, I guess it made sense. And it's largely been a space for local artists to show their work and also to work in the gallery. And then we do have other people from the Northwest. We have a show coming up in January with a woman originally from Ohio. So we're expanding our scope as time goes by. But I've said before that I don't know anything about running an art gallery. This is not my gig. I never wanted this in my life. I do art myself. My mom was an artist, so I've kind of been, marinated in it. But it's just been something that people really it resonated with them. They like it. They think it's wonderful. I think that sometimes they think that all the money we make goes to the food bank, which is not true. And through COVID, the food bank has done very well in terms of people donating money. And now that this gallery has become a 501c3 nonprofit, it is able to accept donations and apply for, grants and things like that.
How did you come up well, I say you, but the collective you.
Mhm.
How did you come up with the name boxx Gallery, and why with 2 X's?
So 2X's is 100, and the food bank gives away around 100 boxes of food every Saturday to people in need in this area.
That's a great reason.
Yeah,
That's cool.
It is a great reason.
I think what I thought was it was going to have something to do with apples, because we're sitting in the middle of an orchard area, and it had something to do with apple boxes, but it was because you're giving away about 100 boxes of food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Our community is really small. It's about 1,200 people. And so to give to 100 families every month, that's a lot. Our percentage is quite high.
That is quite high.
And so, there's a need, and the artists and the patrons really like the idea that they are helping out people that need things.
The food bank, how long has the food bank been in existence? It was
25 years probably or more before my time.
Before your time.
And it's changed. Paige Matson, who is a junior high science teacher in our school district, is the manager and has been for, I think, about 6-ish or 7 years. And because of her, it's a going concern. It's amazing. This Christmas, we're trying to give away a coat, a hat, gloves, a pair of shoes, a blanket, and a toy to 175 kids. And it's pretty ambitious, but I think we're going to make it.
So how does the food bank go about doing this type of fundraising and organization?
Well, we've never really been organized, but a friend of mine, Sarah Holsinger, who used to raise funds for the Union Gospel Mission, has kind of adopted me. And so she is now doing that kind of thing for both Boxx Gallery and the Highland Food Bank. And so we are starting to get funding in, and it's a crazy world. I didn't even know that existed. I had no idea that, well, first of all, that people would send checks, or that you could ask for money from different foundations. It's super cool.
Okay. How would you describe the gallery's, how do I want to say this? Artistically, what is typically hung in the gallery? What's the style that the gallery brings in? Or does the gallery, is it Northwest art? I mean,
no, it's really eclectic. I'm
glad I'm stumbling because the eclectic.
I know. Can I say, I don't even have enough of a background to be able to explain it succinctly, but it is whatever somebody's doing.
Okay.
Our goal with this gallery is diversity and inclusion and all those catchphrases. Our community is, 70% Latino. Mm-hmm. And so we strive to include the Latino population and those artists to show in here. It's kind of something that's coming along. We've done some of that in the past, but with any organization, you have to bring in young people, and old white people like myself have a house full of this stuff and they don't need any more. And, you have to get rid of something, and you've pawned off as much stuff on your kids as they'll take. And they refuse, mine, at least they refuse. I can't even believe it. And, so we need young people that have houses without all the stuff on the walls. And so, it's the same with any organization. You need young people to sustain it.
Right. No, I'm laughing because my daughter, who anyone who listens to the show, you don't know this, but anyone who listens knows Mackenzie is my daughter, and she runs Explore with me, but she lives in Europe. She lives in Austria, and I'm convinced she moved away so that I couldn't keep giving her things to take. So that's why I'm laughing so hard. I think she moved across the Atlantic to get away.
Oh yeah. My kids live close, and we have snuck things into their garages when they weren't home. And eventually they see it and they call us out.
How'd this get here, Mom?
Mm-hmm.
So when we're recording this, it's November of 2021. Why don't you describe since this is an audio medium and we're in a visual space, what am I looking at on the walls here? Whose art is here, and how would you describe it?
So the name of the show is Textures. And so two of the artists are fiber and textile artists. Nancy Gabriel does like rug hooking, but they become art by the time she's done. They're things that you can put on the wall. They're very unique, but they're, again, really tactile. The other artist that's a textile artist is Jackie Prout, who is our basically volunteer gallery director. We make people who are the least suspecting into positions of having to put out a lot of time. But anyway, Jackie does fabric art, and in conjunction with her husband, who is a photographer, these people are all quite well known within our group of artists. They have collaborated, and with photography and textile art, they have put things together, and they become something different, a different medium that you don't usually see.
And how long will this show be in the gallery?
It's up for the month of November.
And is that your typical length, is a month each?
It is, except our Christmas show will go on for 2 months because everybody's kind of pooped by the end of it. And January is a low time for gallery attendance, and so we will leave it up for a while. The show in December is for the volunteers and specially invited artists. Okay. So we'll get something like 50 artists showing work. Wow. It's a bookkeeping nightmare, of which I'm responsible for. Yeah.
So you're doing basically 11 shows a year then here?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, so that's got to be just easy to coordinate, and no planning ahead.
The thing is, it's super hard. It's super complicated. She has shows planned into 2023. I stay out of it. I don't usually know what's going on. They've given us a book now so you can look it up. For the 6 years that this gallery has been opened, I've been pretty much clueless the whole time about what's going on. Somebody else is always in charge. Karen was the director until January or February of last year. And the next day we arm wrestled Jackie into being the director.
I would have thought it was just because she wasn't at the meeting, so you elected
exactly.
her. You weren't here, so you got picked.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So in the 6 years, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to ask you your opinion. This is your opinion. I'm going to emphasize this is the opinion of one person.
Okay.
What's been your favorite show in 6 years? Your favorite show?
Man, that's hard.
I know.
Can I pick two?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll let you go with two.
Okay. Years ago, Karen curated a kite show of all things. Okay. And they were kites of all varieties. And these artists were from the Seattle area. It was wild in here. That was so fun. It was so unexpected for me. And it was colorful. It was beautiful. It was happy. It was very up kind of a thing. The other show that is awe-inspiring is Leo Adams. Every time when he has a show, you might cry accidentally because it's so pretty and his work's so beautiful.
What does he work in? What medium does he work in?
He works in acrylics. Okay. And that's mostly what he does. He also does 3-dimensional things. Some of it is sort of native inspired images, but he's got it going on. It's amazing.
Okay. And he's in the Valley, Yakima Valley area? Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Kites, that's interesting you say that, because kites can be pretty powerful when you see them. I mean, they're crazy how intricate they can be. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
This would be an interesting. Were you hanging them from the ceiling?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was hanging from the ceiling. You can see some hooks still in the ceiling.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So Are you from this area originally?
I'm an apple farmer's daughter and an apple farmer's wife. Yeah.
That sounds like a coal miner's. Oh, sorry.
I know, barefoot and pregnant.
Have you always lived in the region, or did you escape for some? Like so many of us, wherever we called home as a kid, we're like, I don't want to be there, and then we end up back there. But have you lived here?
Yeah, we moved 100 miles away for 20 years, but I was married really young, and we moved to the Columbia Basin, and yeah, I have never been anywhere.
Oh, okay, so that's fine. Yeah. So what has changed? Okay, so I stumbled upon Tieton, as I was telling you before,
right?
And had some previous guests on that on Tieton Cider Works. Nothing about this little community, and Craig's like, you got to go look. And so I had found your guys' site somehow when I was researching for them. Somehow when I put in Tieton boxx gallery photo, so I was aware that this was here.
Right.
I wasn't aware anything else. So what's changed in this area in the last 20 years? Everything has changed in everybody's neighborhoods, but in Tieton, there's mosaic art. There's a really cool little town park here that's just kind of interesting. I believe you have a Grand Prix race of I'll call them model cars, but they're not full size cars. But
right.
How did all this happen?
Well, this town was going the way of small towns across the country, where people were vacating and they would go to town to do their business. And so the property values, there just was nothing happening. Years ago, the only time I came to Tieton was to get a package at the post office. But when my husband was a kid, his father owned the grocery store that is now in Tieton made. There was a pharmacy with a soda fountain. And when we were first married, his dad would take pity on me being out in the orchard forever and looking so bad. And he would say, go get some Green Rivers. Well, what the heck is that? And vanilla Cokes and all that, and bring them back. And so that was a pretty cool thing. And so, the town used to be vibrant. There was a theater, there was a bowling alley. There was a lot happening, but it's just like everywhere else. So since it kind of disappeared and the whole Tieton thing started happening, Rob and I have bought up several buildings in the area.
Rob is your husband?
Rob is my husband. We recently bought the gas station down here that Tieton Arts and Humanities is renting, and that is their office. And they are, and I'm sure Ed will tell you all of this. They are doing an after school program for kids.
Okay.
We bought the old hardware store across the square, and that is artist studio space that we're renting to different artists. He made a deal with Simplot about a block away to lease their building for $1 a year. And he had "Welcome to Tieton" written on the side of it. And there's an apple in the window that I bought years ago. That's originally from the Piggly Wiggly East Coast, like the 40s. So that sits in the window.
That was my first job. I worked at a Piggly Wiggly.
Oh, really?
I was a box boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. Okay.
Yeah. And so, that's been something that he really wanted to do.
Okay.
Tieton is where he grew up, and, his heart is here. And it's an opportunity to be a big fish in a little pond. You can really help people. So,
but okay, all of that's true.
Yeah.
But what I'm, as a very casual observer and very much an outsider, right? The abundance of art.
Yeah.
The fact that you have art space for rent and you have somebody taking you up to rent the space.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think there's this concentration of artistic talent here?
Well, it's critical mass. I think that, the more, as I always say, you can't throw a rock around here and not hit an artist. There are a lot of them around, and the more there are, the more, come because it's stimulating to them creatively. And I don't know, it's a welcoming environment for artists, and they feel comfortable. And what we do is kind of parallel to what Mighty Tieton is doing. We don't intersect particularly, but we are kind of doing our own thing along those lines. As I said before, it didn't have to be an art gallery. It could have been something else because I'm about the food bank. But the art gallery has strangely taken off, and we're kind of like a victim of our own success. Now we have to figure out what to do because we have a lot of ambition about where the art gallery will go. We'd like to have workshops, maybe artists in residence programs. And as I said, don't ask me what that means because I don't do this stuff. I don't know. I leave it up to others.
Okay.
And they seem to be all enthusiastic and know what they're doing. And it appears that they do. So I just say, oh, yeah, let's do it.
But see, in my experience, what you and your husband are doing, what the other guys are doing here isn't common.
No.
It's not typical.
Right.
And I think you're being modest, and modesty is not a bad thing. But you tell me there's a town of approximately 1,200 people.
Yeah.
You have an art gallery. Across the street, we've got the Mercantile that people can't see because I'm pointing. But, the Mercantile, and I joked with you when I walked in there the first time and they're selling Filson clothes, which just my head about came unglued. And I watched as somebody bought Filson clothing. I would have never, ever guessed that.
Right.
You have an abundance of artistic talent here. And there's artists everywhere. You're absolutely true. But like where I live doesn't have a real vibrant, or at least if it does, I'm not aware of it. Doesn't have a real vibrant art culture. And there's a lot of artists. So why you guys have started something? You've given birth to this artistic community.
Right.
But it's art without, in my opinion, this is not a pretentious looking little town.
No.
It's very, I don't know what the word I'm searching for is.
It's a humble little town.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not pretentious.
No.
But it's supportive of art.
Well, I have to give a lot of credit to Ed and Mike of Mighty Tieton. They're the ones that kind of started that ball rolling. And we had roots in the Yakima Valley, and we were able to support that whole thing by knowing people and knowing artists.
Okay. And
so I think that forwarded it maybe more than it would have, but I can't take credit for that.
And I'm not saying you should take credit. I'm just saying, I'm just acknowledging that your modesty is maybe a little too modest, because the fact that you've got a studio spaces that you're renting to people is amazing. The fact that, let me ask you, put you on the spot. How full are are those spaces?
We have one space left and somebody is considering it right now.
So, yeah. So you're successfully renting out artist workspace.
I mean, they're cheap compared to like Seattle prices, but
but still, okay.
Yeah.
I can't think of the guy's name who's renowned that's got.
Oh, Trimpin. He's amazing. Yeah.
Okay. So this is interesting. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, so you said, you guys had roots in the valley, in the community, and Ed and Mike were at that time outsiders, so they wouldn't have had those relationships yet. And you guys, maybe that's how you were able to facilitate.
Yeah.
But putting together some things you said earlier, you're an apple farmer's daughter, an apple farmer's wife.
Yeah.
But you owned a clothing store in Yakima.
Yeah.
I'm failing. I'm giving you a hard time. Yeah. I am failing to see the direct connection. What inspired you to open a clothing store?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't know why I do a lot of the things that I do. I don't know.
So what type of clothing store was it? What
women's clothing? I did men's for a while too.
But in more, I mean, you're wearing some intricate cowboy boots here today. You've got a nice gold scarf on. You have fashion sense.
Right.
Was it?
Well, we went downtown, or I went downtown and had a store in the old railroad station freight office, and it truly was an expression of art. And I gathered together people that I loved and forced them to work for me at slave wages. And this is kind of my MO.
I was just going to say, let's see, we volunteer people who
I do. Mm-hmm. That's my talent in the world.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. I don't know, to who has been given much is expected.
Okay.
I really do feel, privileged to be able to give back to the community.
Well, so many people might have an idea, but they don't take action. And I think what I'm hearing is you just take action.
Well, I have way more ambition than brains. That's always been my MO, and I'm half hyper. So, just stuff to do. Mm-hmm. But I didn't do it all. I said yes to other people who had an idea, and I just let them run with it. I didn't how am I going to micromanage having an art gallery? All I know how to do is balance a till, that was my contribution. And,
I think I don't think you're okay.
I'm really not trying to be falsely modest.
You might not be an art gallery director. You might not have the organizational skills and the outreach skills and blah, blah, blah. But it certainly sounds like you have the people skills to connect people and find the right people for the right position.
I will take that. I'd love that.
That is an incredibly
thank you
powerful skill set to have. Because oftentimes people are in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And then you don't succeed or don't find happiness and fulfillment. And having somebody who can go, no, you come over here and you run this art gallery for a while. Mm-hmm. I don't know what, just try it. And setting people on a path that's better fit for them. That's what I'm hearing a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
So this conversation is going to go all sorts of different directions. So I'm going to ask you another on the spot question.
All right.
You have a magic wand. Mm. You can add one genre of business to Tieton. What would you add here?
What we need is a really good grocery store with a deli.
Okay. That was easy. Okay.
Yeah. Just for a need.
Uh-huh.
We could use a pizza place. It's just support for the population. Right now there's low income kind of housing being built by the Catholic Housing Authority. There's another housing development of more expensive houses going in up north. So there are going to be people moving into the area, and we have to be able to support them.
So where is the closest full-size grocery store?
It's Harvest Foods in Cowiche.
Okay.
And we do a lot of shopping there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So me, what I would want?
Yeah.
I would say this about every community. Where's a great place to get a cup of coffee? I'm all about coffee. So it's like,
well, that's in the works. Over at the Tieton fueling station, which is, just opened not very long ago. They have all the equipment to have an espresso stand, and it hasn't opened yet, but that's in the works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And you can also, there's an espresso stand in the Panaderia.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What we haven't talked about yet is you are an artist.
Yeah.
You do sculpture.
Yeah.
So here you are being modest about art, but you are an artist.
Yeah.
As you said earlier, I think you were, what was the word? Steeped in it? Marinated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're marinated in it, but when did you start? What started? There we go.
Oh, sorry.
our other interviewees are here. When did you start thinking about going into doing sculpture?
I think I told you that my mom was an artist, and I took a couple classes at the local junior college rather, on working on the wheel. You know, I don't think about things very consciously. So the first thing I did, one of my kids got married in the yard, and I made 80 platters to give to the guests, and they weren't very good, but I had 80. I had 80 platters.
Okay, wait. I'm not letting you off the hook. You have to tell more about that story, because that's an insane amount of
yeah.
I don't care if they weren't good or not. That's regardless.
Yeah.
What on earth possessed you to create 80 platters? I mean, besides the wedding is. But.
It was sort of half in my wheelhouse. I could imagine what they would be like, and I sort of figured out how to do it. And I don't know. I just, I've been taking painting lessons from Brian Holtzinger, who's across the square, who is a very accomplished artist. And he always tells me that I work like a squirrel on crack.
Okay.
Yeah, I only have one speed. It's kind of fast.
Okay.
And
all right.
I do have friends that do sculpture, and they will say to me, you stay 6 feet away from my stuff because you're going to break it, because I'm flailing my arms around while I'm explaining something or another.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's go back. 80 platters. Was there a theme?
Oh, I can't remember. That kid's been married for a long time now, but I've only been doing this for, I think, 8.5 years. I've only been doing art, not for very long. Okay. So just before I closed my store. And then from there, I started doing sculpture, and I cannot tell you why, but it's been so fun. It's just stupid how fun it is. I go into the studio, and artists will tell you this, and lose track of time. And I'm late for everything because I forgot what time it was. I forgot to look at my watch. I think I'm hilarious. I laugh. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. And so I am my own entertainment. It's just a wonderful thing to be able to do. Such a blessing. Sorry.
So are you working on any pieces now?
I am. I am doing something of a woman sitting cross-legged, and it's kind of Buddha-esque, except it's not a Buddha. So she's going to be holding birds in her hands, and there'll be birds all around her.
So where do you get your inspiration from then?
I don't know. I don't draw things. I'm very undisciplined about the whole thing. It's just in my head, and it just has to come out.
Something has to spark you.
Birds? I don't know. Yeah. It's just, I cannot tell you that. I'm just not linear, in all of that.
But you just see what I keep hearing from you is you just take action.
I do.
You just consistently take action.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever shown your work here in the gallery?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. You don't want to take advantage of that idea that you can. Hey, it's my gallery. I am showing. No, but Jackie, that's Jackie over there, kindly invited me to be in a show a couple months ago. And so once in a while I do. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And where do you show it elsewhere? I
have some.
Okay.
I have a piece in the Larson Gallery Central Washington Artist Show. I've been in shows where people will say to me, but you're so weird. And you're like, ooh, is that bad? For a while, it's okay. And then you're like, ooh, boy. Because some of the stuff is pretty raw. And you really are showing, as my mother used to say, it's like showing people your underwear. It's really personal.
Okay.
And you're asking for people to critique you, that it's okay. It's allowed.
So how has that been for you?
It's great. I love it. I think it's really great. I've had my garden. I also garden. My garden has been on tours before.
Oh, okay.
And people, I love it when I hear them say, I cannot believe she put that plant with that plant. I would never do that. And it makes it even better because it's fun to go against,
convention.
It is. It's just great.
So what plants are you pairing that you shouldn't be pairing?
Colors.
Oh.
I put, I don't know, purple with orange or some horrible thing like that, which pleases me to no end. Yeah.
But okay. So I would not be able to do that. I'm too insecure to if I were to create a piece of art, that to get that feedback from people.
Right.
What's some more memorable feedback you've received?
What you want to do that. You want to evoke emotion. It's way better to have somebody not like it than to just walk past it and they don't even see it. That means nothing to them.
True.
And you can't make things just so that they'll sell.
Mm-hmm.
Or to me, you can.
Right.
I do make garden balls over there like crazy and sell those things, those deals that you put in the garden. But if you do, you lose your soul a little. Yeah.
So what's some of the more interesting feedback you've ever gotten about your sculpture?
That face really bothers me. They'll say that, but I like all the rest of them, but that face really bothers me. And so you want to say, so why does that face bother you?
Yeah.
And that's cool. Or they'll say, what were you thinking when you did that? And I used to try to explain it, but I can't explain it well because it's from some subconscious place.
Uh-huh.
And so you kind of end up saying, well, what does it mean to you? Because people bring themselves to any kind of artwork. They're half of the equation.
True. That's a good point.
And so Karen, that was the past director, used to say to me, people would want the story. And sometimes you tell them the story and then they don't want the piece anymore because it leaves them out of the story. They didn't see
themselves in that story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So do you have with your sculpture, how size of these sculptures? What do you?
I've had a couple that are like 3/4 size,
5 foot tall, maybe 4.5.
Yeah, yeah. But people don't have a space for that. A lot of it ends up being outside.
Okay, so these can be.
Yeah, I have a piece in my garden right now that's kind of Frida Kahlo-ish, and she has a knife in her heart, which is kind of an anatomical looking heart, but that was Frida Kahlo, and this one has apple branches and apples all over her head. I think she's just wonderful. It scared people when I showed it in the show, in the gallery, but that's okay.
Well, you're invoking emotions and commentary.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is, I guess,
super fun. It's really cool to do that.
So how long does a sculpture take from that? You might say you don't know where you got the inspiration, but when you realize, oh, I want to do this to completion, and you said you're a fast worker and you're flailing around, but
it depends on how big the thing is. If it's small, I can get it done in a day.
Okay.
Or if it's large, you need, as I always say with clay, you need to let it sit and think about it.
Okay.
You can't work too fast because the clay won't allow you to do that.
Okay.
And it'll slump if nothing else. You've got to let it harden up. But you're asking it on a cellular level to change its shape, and you want it to stay that way in the firing.
Okay.
And so you have to massage the clay to make it accept you.
So you mentioned you're doing maybe 3/4 size pieces.
Mm-hmm.
How are you firing those in sections?
Yeah.
Okay.
The big ones have to be in sections.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. I have a big kiln that I don't use very often because it's really loud. But I mean, you could burn a body in that thing. It's big.
Good to know.
Well, it is good. And I've mentioned it to my husband on occasion.
Where is he, by the way? We're kidding. We're kidding. Oh my gosh. where do you see your art going? What do you want to do with it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't say what it will be. It seems like, I think any artist will tell you, you go to a place, you find a place, you work at that thing, and then one day you're just sick of it and you do something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
That seems...
If you think about it too much, you can't do it. For me.
For you. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So your studio, you spend inordinate amount of time in there. You go in, you lose track of time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I always, my friends that are artists, the creative process, everyone's creative process interests me a great deal.
Uh-huh.
So do you have music playing, or is it a quiet space? How do you work?
I have books on tape.
Okay.
I listen to sermons. I listen to music. Yeah.
Do you ever see any of that coming out in the art? Retroactively, have you ever run? I was listening.
A lot of murder mysteries. I don't know. I don't know.
We're seeing a theme here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. That's actually really funny.
You're tongue tied, huh?
Give me pause there. So when you're not doing all of this stuff, when you're not being, a connector of people, because I think that's what we could call you, as a connector, connector, and you're not creating sculpture, what do you do for fun?
I love to travel.
Oh,
I love it. We have a trailer, and I think there's nothing more fun than getting in the trailer and just going someplace. My husband likes it organized and I like it unorganized. So away we go. So my idea of a great time would be to get up in the morning and say you want to go north or south, and just
you don't ever
be
say
very
east
loose
or west?
about
It's
it.
always
Or east or west or whatever it is. Yeah. And so that's that to me is really fun.
And how but he's organized. Does that work for him, or is he adapted to that?
He's learning.
He's learning.
He's learning to let it go. Yeah.
Okay. So where was your last? Where's your last little trip?
Well, we went fishing in Montana and Idaho.
Okay.
I have to kind of make this work for him so he thinks he's having a good time. And we went fly fishing. And I won the contest because I got most, biggest, and I don't know, whatever the other best, because I got one fish and he got none.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So you won all the awards.
I won all the awards. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So do you both like to fish?
Well, kind of. It's okay. I fish because he kind of likes to fish. And
whereabouts in Washington? Any good fishing places that he likes to go in Washington?
Well, we're surrounded by good places to fish here. You can go up to the mountains to White Passionate Pass and fish. My kids go down to Drano, which is near
Drano.
Drano. I don't even know what that means.
It's a sink cleanser.
It is a sink
that's
cleanser,
what I think
but
of.
I think that's what he calls it. And it's down by Goldendale.
Oh.
I don't know where they go. They're always going and doing that kind of thing. I have two sons.
And they grew up here too.
Yeah. They went to Highland High School.
And do they still live in the area?
They do.
So
they're in fruit business.
They're in the fruit business. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so what fruit do you guys raise?
Primarily apples. We have some cherries too.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a easy business.
It's a super easy. You don't need to go to Vegas because you're, gambling every day. Begging Mother Nature, please be good to me.
How was it? Were you impacted this year because of what was the fire that was
the Schneider Springs fire?
Was that?
It was awful. It was a really hot and smoky year.
Yeah.
Because of the heat, the year was early. Where our picking was early, but I guess wine grapes were really impacted because that smoke goes through the skin and affects the taste.
Right. That's what I've heard as well. One time I had to come down to look at something in Natchez. And so I came off the highway and turned right. So I was heading west on, what is that, Highway 12?
Yeah.
And it was like I ran into a wall of smoke. It was
bad.
Nothing. And then all of a sudden I couldn't see in front of me. Driving through Natchez, I couldn't see the buildings on the side of the road.
It was sad. It was really sad.
Yeah. And it lasted. I mean, that did not
Months?
dissipate. Yeah. It did not dissipate. It was.
It started August like 10th or 11th and didn't end until October sometime. Yeah.
So, I mean, but the fruit business is, I joke because you're right. It is like gambling, isn't it? In a lot of ways, you have to be, I think, quite resilient to do it. But you guys have been doing this a long time, and you and your family. So
yeah.
Why? I mean, what I mean about that, you just said it's gambling. We know it's hard work.
It's a lifestyle, baby.
Is it? Okay.
So it's a great lifestyle.
Help me. I'm a city guy.
Yeah.
Explain to me the lifestyle. Why?
I am so in love with the dirt and so in love with, I don't know. I mean, you can kind of be lofty about it and say you're feeding the world,
sure.
And all of that is true. But we live by the seasons, and my husband was home when my kids were growing up, and he would come through and yell at him to stop doing something as he walked through the house. And people don't get that, where the parents are both around.
Okay.
So my husband recently retired, or sort of retired. And so you go into the question of what are you going to do when you're older, and, where would you want to be? I would hate so much to have neighbors. I don't want neighbors. We have neighbors, but they're a long ways away. And I can't imagine. We went with our grandchildren trick-or-treating the other night, and we went to a neighborhood, and lovely houses, everybody's very nice, it was super great, but they're like cheek by jowl. I can't even imagine. And I grew up kind of in town,
okay,
but I just love being out in the country. Love it.
So how far are you from your nearest neighbor, if you will?
Across the pasture, okay. So 1/8 of a mile, not that.
Okay, not that, but
yeah.
But you're not hearing them having conversation over coffee in the morning.
Oh no, we hear people hunting. They're shooting guns, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think you guys will retire in the area? I mean, you think this is?
Yeah, we have to be a pain to our children. It's important that we hang around so that they have to take care of us. And where we are, somebody has to have a tractor and a blade to get you out in the winter because of the snow.
Right.
To blade the driveway for you.
And you have that.
We have that now, but someday when I'm really old, the kids are going to have to do it for me. And they know that.
Then they know that.
They have no choices.
Okay. Okay. What do you hope to see in the next couple of years? 5 years seems impossible to forecast anymore. I mean,
I know.
So in the next couple of years, in your vision, boxx Gallery will be a big success when it does what for the food bank or for the community?
Well, I think that when it fulfills its mission, honestly, right now, we are contemplating the possibility of moving the food bank to another building on the square. And at that point, boxx Gallery would take over the whole building and would give us an actual office and workshop space.
Okay.
And all the other things that we dream of. And at that point, it serves a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And it allows kids and young people and all those people that we hope to serve the opportunity to experience art in whatever form that is for them.
Do you get a lot of people from the community coming in and walking through and looking at the art?
Yeah, we do. The shows that we have had that are by young people seem to bring in more young people.
Okay.
But I think as time goes by and we continue to be a friendly place for people to see, I mean, we really are welcoming. We really want you to come in and look, and you can ask questions or you can just get the heck out before it grabs you, whatever works for you.
Whatever works.
that I think is fulfilling the mission, is to be an outreach into the community. And it's not just Tieton, it's the whole valley.
Okay. What are the current hours of operation for the gallery?
Right now, well, like tonight for the opening of this show, the gallery will be open from 5 to 8.
Okay.
But we're always open Saturdays and Sundays, 11 to 4.
Okay.
We look forward to expanding our hours and days open, but that's another dream that's in the future. But
when
for
you rope
now,
somebody in for no pay to
exactly.
when you
Oh yeah, somebody the least suspecting amongst us.
okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. What should I have asked that I haven't? What do we unintentionally not cover?
You know, the only thing I can say is I don't want to be overly humble or anything, but I will tell you that I get way more out of this than I ever give to anybody else. This is huge for me. I love it. I feel so privileged to be in this place and to be able to make a difference, I guess.
Okay. All right. We'll put links to the website so people can take a look at
Thank
it.
you.
We'll put links in the show notes and all that. And I think that's our cue.
Yes, thank you. I really appreciate
Thank you
your
for
time.
Thank you for making me welcome.
I hope it's okay.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Okay.
Well, thanks.
All right.
Join us next time for another episode of the Exploring Washington State podcast.